Anybody here can get it. Treat the game like a scrimmage now. Master P with the flow. I swear nigga got no limits now. I've been ballin' for a minute. Whole team full of winners. Anybody here can get it. You tuned into the realest now. Anybody here can get it. Treat the game like a scrimmage now. Master P with the flow. I swear nigga got no limits now. I've been ballin' for a minute. Whole team full of winners. Anybody here can get it.
Hey everyone, welcome to Shit. What are we up to, Jackson? Remind me, episode
11.
Welcome to episode 11 of
Double digits.
Platform. Double digits. Yeah, I'm your host. I'm not your host. I'm your house. I'm your host, Greg Terrell, joined as always by Jackson Hinch. This is a bit of a fuck up, eh? And today our guest is Thomas Lilley. How you going, guys?
Up?
Hey, Thomas.
Thanks, mate. How are you?
Which one are you asking?
Greg, he sounds a bit dusty from last night.
Oh, I'll tell you what, it's been about 4 days. I'm not drinking that much, but it's just been drinking every day, yeah. And for those who are wondering, this episode has been recorded. What do we have? I don't even know what the day is. December 28th?
Doesn't matter, Greg. You're an alcoholic.
Yeah, 27th.
27th. It's 27th day. So this will come out in January, but yeah, hence the cheers.
Hence the boozy's back on here at the top.
Exactly, eh?
Are you smashed today or you're good?
No, it's been an awesome Christmas, eh? So I don't know about you guys, but been beautiful weather. Been in the sun, been drinking, been relaxing. Jackson, what about yourself, man?
It's an absolute shit show down here, bro. It's been pissing down.
Oh no, wet Christmas, eh?
Yeah, it's not good. I don't know if you saw, but they had massive hailstorms in Motueka, eh?
Oh, I think I saw a headline in the paper.
Yeah, literally left like 2 inches of hail.
Jesus.
It was like a snowstorm.
Yeah.
But shit's down here. The sun's literally just come out, so they must be happy that I'm talking to you guys.
Nice.
Exactly.
Right, let's do a proper intro. Thomas Lilley, for those who don't know, and I don't think anyone's going to not know who Thomas Lilley is, so hopefully not. But for those who don't know, gym owner, zero weakness. It's weakness, isn't it, Thomas? Say not weaknesses. It's just a weakness. Yep, zero weakness. Got 2 gyms. He's got one opening in Mackay. I'm not going to say it wrong, eh? Mackay. Yeah, Makai opens in 2021.
That's it.
Yeah. And obviously a coach to how many people are you coaching at the moment? I saw a number the other day, 150. Is that still the case?
No. Between like everyone that is now part of Zero as a coach, it would be a lot more than that. I don't know the exact number. I don't really keep tabs on it, but it'd be well over 200. Jesus, awesome. So you've been in powerlifting for a while now, eh? Take us back to the beginning. So where did you get started? And don't let Jackson get started on where he got started because
I bet you Thomas fell into it. I bet you.
He fell into it? Yeah.
Fell into it.
Yeah.
I did my first powerlifting comp in 2018, or maybe a little bit before. But I got into it because I was already in the gym, wanted to be like a bodybuilder, worshipped Arnold and wanted to be a bodybuilder and carried around my Arnold Schwarzenegger encyclopedia of modern bodybuilding. I've still got it. It's right behind me.
Nice.
So I really wanted to do bodybuilding and wasn't real keen on the whole getting shredded thing. And when I say wasn't keen, I mean I tried and I sucked at it because I just like eating too much food. Training was always built around squat, bench, deadlift. So I knew what powerlifting was, but I really wanted to do Olympic lifting. So I wanted to do weightlifting, but the club was too far away and cost too much money. I was like 15 at the time when I wanted to get into it. So I tried to learn in the commercial gym. It just wasn't working. And then someone told me there was a strongman comp coming up. So I registered for that. And I got an email back saying, sorry, the registration's actually closed yesterday. And someone else said, well, on the same day, there's a powerlifting comp. So I did that instead. And here we are. I just stuck to it. Yeah, exactly. I have to apologize in advance, by the way, because there's like a maybe 5 to 10 second delay between when you guys talk and when I talk. So we're probably going to keep cutting each other off.
No worries, Jackson. Just I'll do some questions. Jackson will do some questions, and it can't be any worse than the episode we did the other day. Somebody was in Te Awamutu, someone was in the back of bloody Dairy Flat up here in Auckland here, and the internet connection was terrible.
Yeah.
I think we just ended up having a yarn.
Yeah, I think we had to fill in some of the blanks, but that's all good.
Yeah. Wait, Thomas, sorry, just going back. You said 2018. Did you mean 2008?
Sorry, yes. Yeah. Sorry. 2008. Yeah, I've been doing it now for 13 years. Yeah.
Just so that no one thinks you're a fucking 2 years in newbie coaching all these like people that are squatting over 300.
Yeah, he's done one comp, so that's coached me right there and then.
And also just to make sure that you were actually powerlifting when you coached me. That you weren't just like some gym bro.
Some guy that's like, oh, this looks easy. All you got to do is squat. You just bend your knees and stand back up. How hard can it be? Jesus.
Yeah. So for you, so you got into it 2008. When did you take it seriously straight from the get-go, or was it like a...
Nah, so I was competing in freestyle BMX at the time, and that was really my passion, my love. So I'd gotten into weightlifting because I was a big fat kid. I loved BMX at the same time, but weightlifting was just sort of on the side as another hobby, but my real love was BMX. So I started powerlifting. I did a couple of comps with the IPF affiliate over here. And then I fucked my head up really bad in a crash on my bike, and sort of decided, I was at uni at the time, and I was like, well, my brain's not worth fucking up for the sake of a sport that back then BMX was very much like powerlifting was back then, or really like what powerlifting is now. There really wasn't any money or opportunity in it. Now that there's like Monster and Red Bull and Rockstar, involved in those kind of crazy action sports, there's a lot of money in it and opportunity. Back then there wasn't. It was just like an underground sport like powerlifting. So when I hurt my head, I was like, okay, well, I'll just stick to doing weights. And that's when I sort of turned to that and started taking it more seriously.
With the BMXing, what changed? What changed for a Monster and Red Bull to take an interest?
Yeah, it's a good question. I'm not really sure. I think as just action sports got more and more popular, there were a lot of those like really, really fringe sports like base jumping and the wingsuits and all of that sort of stuff that got way more attention because people could see more of it. I don't know. I think people have kind of a bit of an excitement for watching people do stuff that's crazy, stuff that can get them killed, right?
Yeah, always.
Do you think it was the rise of those sports being streamed online? I mean, I know it's only been 10 years or so, but I know, what was it like 10 years ago? Were these things getting live streamed?
They definitely were. No, they weren't getting live streams. You might get coverage on like ESPN or ESPN2 or something like that for the massive comps like the X Games, but there were heaps and heaps and heaps of other international comps that you'd never hear about or know about unless you're immersed in that community, just like powerlifting,
Yeah, exactly like powerlifting.
Most people only know it exists because they're walking past it at somewhere like the Arnold's in Columbus or the Arnold's in Australia or whatever. Otherwise, it's just kind of like, yeah, okay, so you're lifting weight, you do what? Sorry, is that the one where you put it over your head or? Yeah, so I really don't know. I'd say it is something to do with like the rise in accessibility via things like the internet and Instagram and Facebook and all that sort of stuff. But who knows?
Fuck, how many times have you guys had that conversation with people about what's powerlifting?
Oh, dude, honestly, like once a week.
I know,
at least.
I know, and it's the same people. I get asked by the same person at least every 2 or 3 weeks.
Yeah.
Aussie still doing that powerlifting thing.
Yeah, that's always the motion, the overhead thing. I'm like, dude, don't make me do that. My hands come to here. I can't get my hands above my head. Don't test me.
Yeah, you guys are too nice. Years ago, I just started going, yeah, kind of, yeah.
Yeah. It's all that easy, isn't it?
It's not my job to educate people on it. Just, yeah, sure. Yeah, we lift weights. That's right.
Yep. Here we go.
What? Because then you get, that's the first one that says it, and then they're like, so you can't go to the Olympics for it. No.
Oh, what are you doing?
No. Well, why are you doing it? I don't know. Just, low self-confidence. Like, do you want me to go through the list or?
You know, the irony of that though, is that most Olympic sports are very much like powerlifting, as in like, outside of the Olympics, no one knows about it or gives a fuck about it. There's no attention. So like I went to uni with someone who was on the Olympic synchronized swimming team, and she had done like 2 Commonwealth and 2 Olympic games, and they paid all their way everywhere, including the Olympics.
Wow.
They had to pay for all their coaching. They had to pay for all their membership. No sponsorship, no attention whatsoever. So
it's one of those things, isn't it? Like we were talking about it, I think on another one, Greg, but the Olympics is purely an amateur level, really. There's a whole, the good sports that people want to watch. Well, I'm not saying there's no good sports at the Olympics, but the sports that people want to watch are professional sports. Yeah. That's what, that's how they can afford to be professional. The sports that are at the Olympics.
There's still that allure. There's still that kind of, that attraction to the Olympics. I think it's kind of seen as the the premium, the premier of, but it's not, you know, as like you said, it's the amateur level, but the Olympics has an aura about it, which, you know, it's difficult to replicate anywhere else.
It just sucks that, you know, you can have the Usain Bolts that win by a country mile, but the equivalent of the Usain Bolt in, say, I don't know, something like synchronized swimming or archery or shooting or whatever is just like, that guy's pretty good.
Yeah. That's cool.
Oh yeah. Who?
He doesn't have the Nike sponsorships and everything like that.
So you had the usual, you had the typical bodybuilding dream. You haven't realised it yet. It's not too late.
Yeah, not yet.
No. It's on the bucket list to get swole and get shredded.
No. I don't think so. I'm built like too much of a fucking fridge. I'm too square.
Yeah. So you're obviously, I know a little bit about you, Tom. So you did a little bit on nutrition at university. When I say a little bit, you got a degree. Yeah. And you worked for the Queensland government for a while too, eh?
That's right. Yeah. So did a degree in health science with a major in nutrition, and then an honours in public health. And then, I worked for a couple of years for the government as a community nutritionist. That's how I fell into the gym. The government changed here, and they started to axe all the preventative health stuff, which included, you know, my job. I never got made redundant. I got offered a position way out in the country, and I didn't want to move 9 hours into the country, so I was just like, I got to do something else. So I was like, well, okay, I'll open a gym. So I opened the gym. Like, I'd love to sit here and tell you that I had this grand dream of one day becoming a coach and one day opening a gym. It was literally like, I was walking in the park and I was just kind of like, you know what? I think I'll open a gym instead of moving out to Roma.
Yeah. Need to pay the bills somehow.
Yeah.
The at that stage, were you already coaching people, or?
Not formally. No. There was a couple of people in my gym who I was helping out to the best of my knowledge, and the best of my knowledge was complete rubbish. Like, you know, I ran a program for myself that was called 3-2-1. Which was basically I was doing 5-3-1, and I didn't like doing sets of 5, so I just changed it to. So I was permanently peaking nonstop and couldn't work out why I wasn't getting any stronger. But I ran it back to back for so long, just being like, this will work. I'm sure of it.
It'll work at some stage.
Yeah, so that was the extent of my programming knowledge back then. So I went into it with no real experience or knowledge. I just kind of figured it out as I went along.
And do people come? They flock to you, or if these are people at the gym, or is it friends and family, or?
No. It was a very, very, very slow start. It was a really stupid move. Like, so I opened at the time as PTC, and PTC was like the bee's knees of powerlifting in Australia back then. And PTC had this rule. So you either had to be 1 hour away from the nearest one or 100 kilometers. The nearest one to me was about half an hour in Brisbane. So that's why I opened the gym down the Gold Coast, even though I live in Brisbane and have since I opened the gym. So I opened in an area that I didn't know. I didn't know anybody. Nobody knew powerlifting. So it was just on literally a wing and a prayer. And
fucking hell.
Yeah, very, 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 very slow going. I to this day, I don't know how I pulled it off. Like, I worked my ass off. I worked 2 jobs for a long time. Like, went back to driving a forklift from, you know, really early hours of the morning till early afternoon, and then went to the gym.
Oh, wow. I didn't know that. I didn't know that about you, eh? Geez, you really did the hard slogs, eh? Keep that gym.
You have to, right? Yeah. You have to. So to be honest, it only took about 18 months of doing that before the gym was paying for itself. So it took off, and it didn't take off. It happened slowly, and I think it worked just because what I had to offer as a coach improved very fast. I think I got pretty good at it pretty quick.
Yeah. So you worked on yourself. You worked on your knowledge. You worked on your skill base, and
yeah, I guess like I didn't
downloaded every program you could find from the internet.
In the early days, like it was literally just figuring it out as I went along. I had a little bit of help on the programming side of things, but it was still adapting what I knew. So I didn't start seeking out good knowledge until a little bit further down the track. But like when it comes to technique, when it comes to teaching technique and cueing and all that sort of stuff, I just see it as a puzzle, and I'm good at puzzles. It's just a problem you need to solve. You just need a problem-solving mindset, and if you've got that, it's pretty easy to figure out.
Yeah.
Like think about the fact that Jackson, when you started coaching, there was no manual that you went to that said this is the perfect way to squat and here's how you teach it.
Yeah.
But we all kind of arrive at the same endpoint, even if we don't get taught that. Like if we don't ever get cued and we don't ever get information from the internet or whatever, if we're just figuring out to teach someone how to squat, and you stick at it and you just keep doing it over and over, even if you suck, you get to arrive at the same endpoint, which is like, oh, okay, when people move like this, they move more weight. When people move like this, they get hurt. When you figure this stuff out, because while it is complicated, it's not that complicated.
Yeah, it's definitely an interesting one. I think a lot of people look at it and just think that like we all watch each other and then, oh, he's saying that cue. Oh, I'm gonna, he's telling his client knees out and chest up. I'm gonna say that, and then you just parrot it, but you can't. You almost have to. One of the ways I think we've probably had this conversation before, and so I've tried to explain it to clients and stuff like that. But you need to also almost understand how the body works as a whole, and then how, you know what I mean? And then you figure out, okay, well, actually, what do I want to change to make that movement happen? And then you can figure out 10 different cues to make the same thing happen.
Yeah, for sure. It's a lot of when it comes to like cueing and technique and everything like that, a lot of people focus on what they see and what they see as an error. And if you just focus on what you see, you miss correcting that error a lot. I kind of look at it like, Greg, if Jackson takes an axe and embeds it in your face, and you go to the doctor the next day and you go, hey, doc, my face really hurts. And he's like, shit, your face hurts. And I know that when people take Panadol, their face doesn't hurt as much. So he prescribes you a shitload of Panadol. It's like, whoa, problem solved. It's like, just take the fucking axe out of your face. Or don't stick the axe in your face in the first place. Sounds fucking ridiculous, but that's what we do. We're like, oh, that person's ankle is doing something funny. Let's start teaching them to put these things between their toes and to arch their foot and to think about tripod foot. It's like, no, maybe their ankle's doing that weird thing because their hip's doing the wrong thing. Fix that and then voila. And so, once exactly what Jackson was saying, once you understand the fundamentals that are kind of driving the movement, everything else becomes so much clearer and so much easier to solve.
Yeah. So did you figure this out by simply observing, or was this stuff you've learned by reading? Or was it just basically, shit that looks fairly obvious to me, I'm going to change that?
A combination of everything, right? Like, I think you definitely need to have a bit of a bit of a problem-solving, puzzle-solving sort of mindset to be able to unpiece and understand this stuff. But certainly, like where I learned a lot of it from, you have to have a good knowledge of the human body. And I'm surrounded by people who are way smarter than me when it comes to that stuff. So I've got 2 physios at the gym that I think are some of the brightest minds when it comes to movement. I've picked them apart. I've got personal mentoring from, people around the place like Jordan Shallow and Chad Wesley Smith and people like that I've been able to pick their brain and ask lots of questions and learn more and more from them so that I can embed that into my own system,
So this is probably a stupid question, but is there such a thing as the perfect squat?
I believe
or the perfect bench or the perfect deadlift, or is it? Well, it depends on this. It depends on that. Is it based on the person? I know it seems like an obvious question, but I walk into the gym and I'm X height, X wide, and I walk. I've got this kind of gait. Can you tell that I'm going to be better legs out or legs in?
No, I don't look at it like don't look at it like that. I look at it like Jackson's the same as me. I'm the same as you, as in we're a human animal. You have a shoulder, Jackson has a shoulder, I have a shoulder. You have a hip, Jackson has a hip, I have a hip. We're doing the same movement. We're doing squat, we're doing bench, we're doing deadlifts. Within those lifts, there's certain biomechanical rules. Those rules apply to everyone. There's going to be individual differences from the context of how you achieve those rules. So yes, sure, some people are going to grip wide, some people are going to grip narrow, some people stand wide, stand narrow. But what we're trying to achieve with how the hip works is exactly the same. So like, Jackson, you're a coach, you understand, or in your head right now, you have an idea of what you want the squat to be. So when someone sees you and says, hey, I want to learn how to squat, you're trying to get them to look like that version of the squat. Like that is your perfect squat. That's your gold standard squat. And so I do believe there is a gold standard squat out there. And I do believe that it needs to be based on principles that we can't argue with. Because if it's just our opinion, that's the problem with the industry at the moment anyway, is that like, you listen to the bigwigs of the lifting world, and they're all saying different fucking things about what a good deadlift is, what's okay or not with the squat or whatever. There's no solidarity in the approach because everyone's, showering it with their own biases, their own conclusions, rather than looking at what's the core fundamental that applies to everyone and how do we get the person to express that.
Yeah, I would if you go at it with like, so say obviously Greg, like you were saying about the different stance width, etc. Yeah, sure, your stance width might be different to my stance width because your leg's longer or shorter or what have you. But like Thomas was saying, we're trying to get your hip to be as stable as we can, so then the force you're producing is going straight up.
Yeah.
That's effect, and like, so your squat's not going to be the strongest it can be if you've got unstable hips. You know what I mean? So that's one of the fundamentals that you're gonna, a good squat is gonna have.
I guess where I was going with that question is how much variation is there between, person A and person B and person C. So, how valuable is having that coaching eye to be able to watch someone squat and go, hang on a sec, my criteria around what a perfect squat is not going to work on you, because you've got all these fundamentals, you've got all these issues going on. You've got this curvature of the spine, whatever the issue is, but I'm going to have to adapt my style and adapt your style so you do have a perfect squat.
Yeah, no, that's an awesome question. I always look at it, and you got to understand, like, I teach my coaching system now. Like, it's a product that I sell, right? And so in my own personal coaching, I stick to that, like, I'll fall on my sword for that every time. And I recognize that over time that has changed, and over time that will continue to change. So when I speak, I sound very absolute, but like with that question, for example, I would 100% stick to my guns and get the person to adapt to my system. There might be some limitations. And so the thing is that if you open the possibility of limitations, you'll find limitations. So for me, it's always like, let's try it. And then if there is a limitation, we've got the data to say there is. So for example, if someone comes to me and says, look, I can't do a wide grip bench. Every time I try, I hurt my shoulder. That's saying to me, okay, well, there's a load factor. Maybe it's just due to the fact that you tried wide grip and then you fucking maxed out the next day. That's probably not a good idea ever. There's the factor of like, were you executing the lift in the way that I'm going to impart on you? And so you can't just take what the client says and just accept it as God's truth. You have to observe it to a degree first. A little bit different when it comes to injuries and biomechanical impediments, like your knees have completely blown up and they won't bend past a certain degree. Still, I stick to my biomechanical rules because that's what I believe technique should be based on. And we just make accommodations for those people to, adhere to those rules as best they can. So for me, it's very much on the side of like, I bring the lifter to the system, or I take the system to the lifter, not meet in the middle. It's all like how can we make the system work for the lifter?
Ever told a client, powerlifting's not for you? It's not going to work.
No, I don't think I ever have, to be honest. No,
I'm just thinking we had for example, we had Adele on a few episodes back with arthritis in the knees.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I'm thinking, is that it for him, or could he stage a comeback?
Oh, he could definitely stage a comeback. Like, bearing in mind, I listened to the Odell episode, by the way. Bearing in mind that
Top fan.
he had arthritis from like the start.
Yeah.
Like from the start of his powerlifting career.
That's not a new limiting factor.
Yeah. He went from 360 single ply to fucking 470 raw with arthritis in his knees. I've got bad arthritis in both hips, and
oh wow,
I can still kind of squat sometimes.
Actually, speaking of kind of squat, you flopped out a bloody 980 total the other day, didn't you? This year, was it?
A couple of weeks ago.
Was it APL? What's the
APL? Yeah,
APL. Yeah, 980 in single ply. Yeah. So obviously, it was a long day. Tell us about that.
Oh, that was just a fun comp. Like I didn't take it real serious. I only really had
serious 980 total.
About 8 to 10 weeks of actually preparing for it in the equipment. Basically, I right up until everything shut down here in the middle of March, I was training raw and heading for pro raw that year. My hips got real bad in the last block, and I thought, a month off heavy squatting and heavy deadlifting would calm it down, but it didn't. Then I got a shot, a cortisone shot for bursitis in my hip. That didn't work either. And so, after about, I don't know how long it was, maybe 4 or 5 months, I just kind of like to my physio, man, I think I'll just chuck on some briefs and, see if I can squat and alleviate some of the pain. So I did that for a couple of blocks and it was feeling good. So I was like, I might as well do a comp again, check the rest on the equipment. And that's where we ended up. So it's a good starting point. So I'll do a full on, like, properly prepared for single player meet next year. Because I had a great deal of fun, and it was the first prep that I've done in ages where my body's felt really good the whole time. So
yeah. And you've tried multiply?
Yeah, I competed. The last time I competed equip was 2015, and I did multiply then. But that was just, I've never multiplied benched or deadlifted. I've only ever done it for the squat. So I did a multiply squat back then.
And you find it helps with your arthritis in your hips, being in the gear?
Yeah, it just adds that little bit of extra compression and support. And I don't know if it actually, helps in terms of alleviating pain, but it certainly takes your mind off it when all you can feel is your head about to explode and the suit wanting to tear your skin apart.
Yeah, 400 kilos on your back. So distracts you a wee bit.
Yeah, exactly.
I was thinking, so with your hips, Thomas, I remember us talking about a certain story when you were training before you opened your gym. I think it was in any time you were training in, and that was the first time you tore your labrum was because someone walked into your squat bar.
No, you're on the right track. So it was just the commercial gym, just an independent one near my house where I sort of started out. I was testing my squat the week before nationals, and someone walked into the bar and tore my adductor. So I started like helicoptering. Like it was right next to the dumbbell rack, and he was putting dumbbells back, and he just shouldered the bar, and the bar twisted, and my adductor went. And I'd never experienced an injury, and I'd never been to a physio or anything like that before. So I felt it go. I competed the next week because, adductor tears. So adductor tears are never that bad, right? You can pretty safely squat and deadlift on an adductor tear if you modify a few little things. So I figured out how to squat without too much pain, and so I did nationals the week after, and then I took it easy for 3 or 4 weeks, and then I ramped up the weight and tore it again. At the time, I didn't realize I was tearing anything. Like I felt a pop, and then it hurt a shitload for a week, and I was like, this is nasty. I tweaked it again,
Yeah.
And then the third one was bad, and the third one bruised up. So I found a physio and figured out what it was. And since then, the left side labrum always felt weird. So maybe I tore it at that time. Maybe I tore it way earlier. I did this stupid Guinness World Record squat thing where I broke the Guinness World Record for the total amount of weight squatted in 24 hours when I was like, I think I was 21 when I did it. It was the dumbest thing ever. So dumb.
So what was it?
It was 60,000. Sorry, it was 55,000 kilos, and I took it to 70. So just sets of 10 at like 70 or 80 kilos for 8 or 9 hours until I couldn't squat anymore. It was shit. And so
you basically did 30
That
years
sounds
of squatting.
horrendous.
You did 30 years of squatting in 24 hours, and that's why your hips are fucking now.
It was so bad. Well, the other thing was I had lined up a venue to do it at for December that year. So I trained from like maybe September to December, and then it got delayed by another 2 months. And the training was fucked. It was just 2 sessions a week because that's literally all I could do, because I'd do one and be so fucked until I could do it again, then do it again, then be so fucked till I could do it again. Or I'd just go and squat maybe 4 hours, just sets of 10, and just keep adding a little bit more every time. It was dumb. The dumbest thing I've ever done.
Does it still stand?
No. So before the record got published, someone else broke it. So the way it works is like, if you broke a Guinness World Record tomorrow, you've got 2 ways of submitting the evidence. You can either fly a Guinness representative to you, where you have to pay for them to come and stay and officiate it, or you can adhere to their guidelines, which for me was I had to film the attempt, and I had to have 2 qualified trainers signing off on each set, and then submit the evidence. And that takes about 3 to 4 months to tick over. This guy, he was in the UK. You might actually know him if you Google him, Jackson. Because he was a powerlifter over there. I don't know if he was still active when you were over there or whatever, because it would be a long time after. But he broke it and had a Guinness record representative there. So I got credited for the record, but it never made it to the book or anything.
Oh, Greg, no, we can still claim that. We've had a Guinness World Record holder on the podcast.
Yeah, actually,
number 1.
I think Steve Lusich did something as well, didn't he? Did the bench press thing?
Similar bench press thing, was it?
Yeah, he did something similar.
Probably something. Yeah. I mean, that guy's been lifting for like fucking 150 years. So,
years.
Yeah, he would have been doing something back in the day.
Yeah, definitely the podcast for Olympic Guinness Book.
Yeah. No film though, not on film.
No, exactly.
Before they had cameras.
So shit, you two. There's a bit of history between you two, eh? So how do you know each other?
What? So
I don't.
we just sort of like. You got a fresh one there, Greg. Good on you, mate.
Exactly. Yeah.
Well done.
Merry Christmas.
Nervous, eh? Correct me if I'm wrong, Thomas. Stop me in the story. I always go on tangents, but I believe so. My mate Chris, who I run Wolfpack Strong with, Thomas went to school with his brother.
That's right.
Yes, yep. And then
Thomas over here in New Zealand,
in Christchurch. You're from Christchurch, aren't you, Thomas?
Yeah, Christchurch boy.
Yeah.
Oh.
And so Thomas was here. It would have been 2014 Christmas or New Year's to see your mum and stuff.
That sounds familiar. Yep.
And me and Chris and Jamie were just training, just gym bros. I'd stopped IPF by then, and I was just done with powerlifting really. And then we found GPC, and then Thomas was like, hey, he came over and trained with us, and we got yarn in. He was like, actually, hey, I coach powerlifting. And I was like, all right, stuff it, whatever, all good. I'll have a bash. Like I'd never had a formal coach before. And then afterwards, Thomas is like, actually, do you know what's funny is that you were my first online client. So he'd spun me this yarn that he was like a powerlifting coach when he wasn't. That's why.
Hang on.
Oh, there we go.
I was a powerlifting coach. I'd just never done it online before.
Yeah, no. So so I was Thomas's first online client.
And how did it go? Because Thomas, what was that like coaching someone online?
Yeah, I mean, like if I didn't have people from the start, I would have never figured out how to do it. I think I adapted it to it pretty well. Otherwise, Jackson wouldn't have got any results, and he had pretty significant results.
It was, it was good.
Yeah, so it taught me systems really quick because through Jackson, then Jamie signed up with me, as in Jamie King. He was the next international online client. Then I picked up a few in Australia, and then shortly after Jamie King was Jamie Thompson as well. Like then people sort of started flowing in, and when Jackson first signed up, I maybe had 40 members at the gym, and at the time I wasn't doing my day job during the day, you were the only online client. So you could send a video and it'd be like, oh, a message, I'll reply. And then, one day replied, turned to 2, turned to 3, turned to 4 as things got busier and busier and busier. So without having that process and without having like loyal clients from the start, like Jackson, then I would have never developed systems to, make this process more efficient and continue to grow.
Yeah.
The biggest learning curve is just learning how to communicate in a way that the person gets, because that's what you miss with online coaching. It's like two big things. One big thing is the fact that when you're doing a series of in-person sessions with someone, there's not a lot of coaching. So like if I'm coaching Jackson every week on his squat, there's not a great deal of coaching happening in that 1 hour time slot or whatever. It's just kind of like, we need to keep working on this, keep working on that. It's more like guidance, right? And the coaching that is happening is pretty much the same every time. Like you're saying the same thing. If you cut out all the bullshit talk, all the connecting, all the catching up, and just listen to what you say as a coach, you say the same 3 or 4 things over and over and over and over because you're trying to get them to do your gold standard squat, right? When you take that and write it down, every week it looks like it's fucking copy and paste. It's like, well done, keep working on this, keep up the good work. Same, you find an art of being able to say not the same thing in different ways, but be able to send that message across over and over without driving the person like a stake into the ground. And the second big thing that comes with that is just the delay. Like Jackson does a squat on Monday, sends it to me, I reply. He gets the feedback, he applies it to his squat next Monday. If he fucks up what feedback I've given him, then there's a 2-week delay or maybe a 3-week delay or whatever. Like it can just keep going and going and going and drag out. So you have to be really good at saying the words you need to say and get the person to understand what you're trying to say. And bear in mind as well that you're dealing with people of different, maybe different cultural backgrounds, different education levels that might not understand what you're saying. You have to be really good at saying what to do with your body, saying how something should feel, And this is, I think, me starting online coaching early with people like Jackson is what's taught me to be really good at queuing, really good at finding the words to get people to do the right thing.
Because how many clients? I mean, you've obviously got clients well outside of Australia or around the world.
Yeah.
I mean, how far flung are we talking?
Well, at one stage, I coached the Fijian powerlifting team and the Papua New Guinea powerlifting team, and going over there and trying to coach with people that don't speak English and don't have equipment is really test your skills.
Challenging, yeah.
I've got lots of people in the UK, like Ireland and Wales. I've got people in Israel. I've got people in Dubai, USA, all over the place.
Yeah. And how do you find that the translation issue is not a problem? I mean, the delay, and I mean, are they contacting you all the time? I mean, you're getting messages like every second of the day?
No, so like again, that's one of the big things I learned as I got busier and busier is you have to have a system in place. You have to have a system of communication, and you have to set out the expectations really clear from the start. So like if you sign on to online coaching with me, most people do like a weekly thing where you get feedback weekly. You have a check-in day. You have to send your videos by that check-in day. You can communicate with me back and forth on that day. If anything's urgent, you can contact me. But as you guys both know, on Facebook, I'm fucking slow because I'm prioritizing all that work, right? And so like if people just constantly send me Facebook messages, I can't keep up with them. I'm only one dude, so I've actually only in the last year taken all my online coaching off of Facebook and put it into a separate system altogether. So previously initially it just ran through my personal page, then that went mental. Then I ran it through like the Facebook business page, and since then I've gotten off that altogether. So it's on a whole other platform altogether. And I'll, like, if you're a client on there, I'll only look at your conversation on your check-in day. And so people know that expectation is clear both ways. People know when to expect a reply from me. That makes it really good for both people. You know what you're paying for and what to expect. And I know that, I've got a certain time limit where I need to reply to. It's easy to manage. And like, if you're going to grow, like if you're a coach listening to this and you're planning on growing and scaling, you have to have these systems in place. Otherwise you can't grow. Yeah. But again, you're only one person. And if you want to grow, you need more people, or you just need to charge a shitload of money. And it's not easy to charge a shitload of money.
No. What would you tell people that are listening to this going, I'm pretty keen on getting into this coaching gig? Where do I start?
Well, I'm glad you asked.
There's a segue.
Shameless plug.
Yeah, by the way.
No. But before I say that, I guess where you would start is, I don't even know what to say. Yeah, I think the biggest thing starting out as a coach is to have systems, like to plan your system like you've got too many people. So you don't trip over yourself when that happens. And that's easier said than done, because there's not a lot of just like, oh, what's the best way to run online coaching? Just Google it. You're not going to find a lot of stuff. But again, imagine that you had 50 clients to start with. How are you going to manage those 50 clients? Work out a way that would slot into a user-friendly system to do that, and start like that from the start, even if you've only got 2 people, because it's going to save you a lot of drama. It's like, if you're getting into it, your plan is not to only coach 3 people forever. You want to fucking grow. That's the whole point, right? And the thing we were all just laughing about is I run a coach development system. But to be honest, that's more, it's great for new coaches. I've got lots of brand new people doing it. But it's far more geared at the actual system of coaching, like as in teaching the lifts, teaching programming, understanding movement, understanding improving movement. It's very, very heavy on the actual coaching system. There is business stuff in there, but it's not anywhere near as content heavy as the actual coaching stuff. Because for me personally, I have no business skills. Like I opened a business with 0 business skills, 0 accounting skills, 0 anything when it comes to running a business. And I believe the only reason I've succeeded in business is because I've got a good coaching product. Because there's plenty of people that run businesses that make money that suck at coaching.
Yeah.
Because they're good at business, right?
Yeah, I would definitely agree with that. I mean, I think the online coach thing is almost turning into the PT thing was 10 years ago. Every man and his dog wants to be a PT or a personal trainer. Every man and his dog wants to be an online coach these days. And it's they see it, and they see these successful coaches like Thomas, or like Aussie strength coach is another example, who they can do it and they have a great coaching product, and that's why they're good at it. But there is just as many people who, it's the same, like I see it all the time with PTs. They say, oh, you know, PT's easy as. And I'm like, no, there's two types that survive. There's one who have a good product, and there's one who are a salesman. If you're really good at marketing and salesman, you can have an absolute rubbish product. But
how does the average lifter differentiate between a great sales pitch and a great coach?
Retention of clients, I would argue, is a
big... but how are they going to notice? You don't
notice that. That's what I'm saying. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's hard. It's very, very hard.
Like we'll have listeners on this podcast right now thinking, okay, I need to get a coach. I mean, how the fuck do I determine who's a good coach? Is it number of clients? Is it the success rate of the lifters?
Yeah, I'd look at a couple of things. I'd look at like, are their clients getting results? Are their clients promoting the coach? Like, I know coaches that will actively say, hey, I want you to tag me. I've never done that besides my sponsored lifters who have a requirement that they have to tag me. So if all your lifters, like that's the beauty of social media, you can go to my page and you can click onto, Zero page, click onto any of the lifters' Instagrams and Facebooks and see what they think of the coaching, because they'll talk about it, like if they're making posts about it. So look at that. A big thing for me, and I come biased with this stuff, of course, but a big thing with me is the coach producing a consistent product? Like, if all their lifters suck at lifting, do they suck at lifting in the same way? If all their lifters are great at lifting, are they great at lifting in the same way? Or does everyone's lifting look completely different? Like that's what you're looking at when you're looking for a coach. You're looking at the product that you're trying to buy. And so the product that you're trying to buy is the lifting. So look at the lifters of that person. Yeah. They're going to tell you if that coach is worthwhile or not. Yeah.
I must say that's one thing I always notice when the lifting, you know, when I'm reffing, is you'll see the lifters from a certain coach, and the lifts are always executed perfectly, and you always, you know, say to yourself, shit, that was a good lift, and it's consistent across all the lifters from that particular coach. And then, you know, correspondingly the bad lifters, you know, you obviously can point fingers, but yeah.
Yeah, it's always something that, you know, I don't want to say my haters, like I have heaps of haters or something like that, but there's certainly been people across time that haven't liked me very much, and the people that don't like me and openly criticize me will say things like, all his lifters lift the same. Like, that's the best compliment you could ever give me.
Yeah. Or that means that you're really fucking good at getting your message across.
Yeah. And you know, I always believe that from a programming perspective, maybe too much so when I was coaching Jackson, for example, where I was very, like, I've always believed in templated programming from the standpoint of, like, a template is not a cookie cutter that you plug numbers into and give the same program to everyone. A template is your thoughts written down on paper. Just like, you know, a template of a squat in my head is my 3 biomechanical rules that I teach and that I talk about and that I coach when I'm coaching someone. And so back in the day, I was pretty guilty of, like, writing templates and just being like, everyone should do this because this is the perfect program, and then adapting and changing that template over time. And so as I've gotten way better at programming, the template is still a template, but it's a lot thinner. There's a lot of, like, changing, a lot of adding that happens all the time, and a lot of refining that happens all the time. Because, you know, when you only work with 30 people, it's hard to get a good gauge of, you know, what certain archetype that people fall into. So, like, if Jackson came to me for coaching tomorrow, I'd coach him very differently to how I would coach, you know, a 60 kilo brand new female, in terms of, like, the kind of intensity that I'm giving, the kind of volume that I'm giving. The base programming would look very similar, but it would be applied differently based on the experience of the lifter. And so back in the day, I understood the importance of, like, okay, well, Jackson's coming to me for a strength program, so here's a strength program. I still do that, but now it's like, here's a strength program for you who's of this size, weight, gear or no gear, wraps or no wrap, whatever, you know. It's just understanding what archetype you fall into, so we don't make the same mistakes.
Yeah,
that's an interesting one. That Odell brought that up, which we didn't really delve into it too much, but, like, with Thomas, it's more of a coaching discussion, so it's a good time. But it's obviously I look at it the same, very similar to Thomas. There's a spectrum, and whereas, say, there's a large, strong males at one end and smaller, weaker females at the other end, and everyone falls into that spectrum, and you can cause a different amount of disruption to your body. So, say a smaller, like Tom was saying, a 60 kilo female would cause a lot less disruption to her body squatting 80% of her max than I would squatting 80% of my max. And so I would need longer to recover versus the smaller female. And everyone's on that spectrum somewhere.
Sure, and we don't want to simplify it to just male and female. Like that's definitely a thing, but for me, the big thing is overall experience, because as you guys will both understand this as lifters too, as you get more experienced, your capacity to express your strength more efficiently increases, right? So what I mean in English is that you can apply more muscle fibers to your lifts. 100%. You can create more fatigue. So you guys know when you do a comp now versus when you did a comp back in the IPF days, 10 years ago or whatever, when you started competing, that you walked away from that comp being like, fuck yeah, back into training next week. Now you do a comp and the next week you're like, I don't want to see you weight for like 3 weeks. I'm happy to chill, because you're fucked, because you can create so much more fatigue. So understanding that experience is probably the biggest driver, but then of course there is like total body size, there is gender, there is numerous other factors that contribute to that. And the more experienced you get as a coach, hopefully the more exposure you get to people of different ends of the spectrum. It's really cool now, having done it for a long time, being able to have like pretty extreme ends of the spectrum, like working with super experienced 48 kilo females and then inexperienced monsters like Dylan Hellriegel, who's been lifting for like 2 years. They tick certain boxes in that spectrum, but they don't in other areas. Like Dylan was fucking gigantic and fucking strong, but very inexperienced. So it's it's a hard thing with coaching. Like there's not a lot of sources you can go to learn that stuff. A lot of it does come from anecdotal experience, and that's what I'm trying to change with my coach development system is provide the answers to all these big questions, so you feel super empowered as a coach from day one.
Any favorites? Do you prefer the inexperienced or the fully experienced? Elite level or beginner? Without alienating any clients that listen to it.
Man, my favorites are the ones that want to work really hard, that want to be as strong as they can be, and that want to trust the process. Like, it sounds cheesy, but they're the best people to work with, irrespective of the weight on the bar.
Yeah, it does sound very cheesy, actually.
But people.
But it's true. It's 100% true. You don't want a client that's, if you like Tom, you're very committed to the process and you're very committed to getting the people the results. But if they're not committed to it, it's not going to work. You want clients that are just as committed as you are and will trust what you're saying. Because there's nothing worse than, we've talked about it before as well. I enjoy clients asking me why am I doing this or whatever, because there should be a justification for things that are in their program or why I'm telling them to do a specific thing. But if I have a client that's like, but then you want someone who follows what you're saying still, you know what I mean? You don't want them to come in and max out every second week and then be like, oh, well, you're a shit coach, you didn't give me the results I wanted.
Yeah.
For sure.
Tom City International, you got quite a few international lifters, eh? Any kind of, you must enjoy that piece, obviously traveling around the world and
I definitely love it's probably my favorite part of the kind of lifestyle that I've been able to create through coaching online is traveling quite a bit more. To be honest, I don't really travel for the international lifters that much because really it's only blown up in the last few years, and it's been hard to travel the last year.
Yeah.
Most of the international travel in the past has been for local lifters going to Worlds, and that's awesome. But yeah, as long as I can travel, I will, because it's fucking cool. And it's cool to see powerlifting across the world. It's cool to see some of the similarities. It's cool to immerse yourself in the challenges. Like, I sent you guys that video of the warm-up room from 2016 where Jackson and I were over there.
In Serbia.
Yeah,
you look like that and you'd be like, I wouldn't want to compete at a comp like that, but that's sort of part of the fun. It's part of the adventure.
Dude, that comp was ludicrous.
Jackson, we've talked a fair bit about powerlifting in Europe. It's mad, eh? It's awful.
Yeah. You're gonna have to put that video on the video version of this, mate, because that's
I'll include it. Yeah,
it is literally like, I think Thomas has tagged it, the warm-up room that nightmares are made of. It was just, there was no
control.
No control. There was just, this person had 10 handlers, this guy had 50. There was just people everywhere.
Yeah.
There was plates getting thrown around. There was just bars lying on the ground. If you wanted to walk out your squat, you had to look behind you for a bar on the ground because some guy was deadlifting.
Yeah.
I think there were only 2 monos and one of them didn't work. And I'm pretty sure there wasn't enough plates as well. Like when the big boys were lifting, it was a bit of a fight to find, or to A, to get on the monolift that worked, and B, have enough plates without like taking other people's plates. It was a bit of a mission. That is the most hectic warm-up room I've ever been in that year.
I'm pretty sure some bastard put baby powder in that chalk as well. There's always someone.
Oh yeah.
Because that was the closest I've ever come to bombing. I scared the shit out of Thomas and Hamish. I dropped my first 2 deadlifts.
Oh Jesus.
Yeah.
There were some good times and some bad times over there.
Yeah, I think I put on 15 kilos in like 48 hours.
It was wild.
That was wild. Yeah, that was mad. We made the hotel run out of hot water.
Gee, really, eh?
Because I was trying to Epsom salt bath off so much weight.
And to paint the picture for everyone as well, you guys didn't have a bath, right? You had that weird showered thing. It's
I went and used Big Jason's had that like family room that had a bath, and then it started running cold, so I was like, fuck it, you must be on a different tank to me, so I'll go use mine. So we had one of those like weird, like, it had a shower dome thing, and it was this weird like closed in shower, and so I just turned the shower on hot as and tried to like create a mini sauna. And then angry hotel people knocking on the door. Why are you using all that hot water? What's going on? Why are you using all that hot water?
It was a dodgy situation. You couldn't prepay for that hotel, so you had to pay cash. And I'm pretty sure you had to pay cash like every morning, and the cop would come around and take like half the cash they were collecting or something like that. It was
really, eh? Yeah.
That was dodgy, man. Like, they spelt my name wrong on the fucking door. I was Jackson Minge for the rest of the trip. They even put it on my fucking certificate. So my certificate from my first world says Jackson Minge.
I'm gonna have to get a copy of that for this episode, man. You're gonna have to do a screenshot. Yeah.
I'm gonna have to find it somewhere, but it's great. Yeah. It's good. And so then as soon as I came back and started taking on more people, Thomas is sitting there telling them, "How are you enjoying coaching with Coach Minge?"
So good.
Good times. No, it was hell of a trip. Old Steve Hampton doing his 5th Worlds or some shit.
Yeah, no, I've been fortunate enough to go to every World since 13, except for 14. So I didn't go to 14, but I went to 15, 16, 17, 18, 19. No 20, obviously.
No 20, obviously.
Yeah. And then the last
favorite country to powerlift in or witness powerlifting?
Oh, gee, that's a hard one. Like the best quality comps have been in Australia. So like, you know, the Arnold's is the best quality comps. The comps that I've done in US have been hit and miss. Like I've coached at the US Open, I've coached at Boss of Bosses, but the GPC Worlds they ran in Vegas was the most dismal competition I think I've ever been to. That one was terrible. They literally didn't have enough plates in the warm-up room. They had to go beg a local gym to borrow some plates. The competition room, like the conference room it was hosted in, would have been like the size of, I don't know, 2 or 3 rugby fields. It was gigantic. And there were maybe like 40 spectators. And so there's like this massive room in this tiny little corner of powerlifting, and it just made it feel so empty. Yeah. Like it felt like it took 10 minutes to walk from the door to the powerlifting all in the same. But it was just a real shit comp, terribly run. The Spotify at that comp was not a paid version. So like you'd be going out to lift, and some like hillbilly hick American ad would come on and be like, Coleman's tires, come down and get your tires.
Yeah, trying to move up for your squat. Yeah, excellent.
So yeah, I mean, it's hard to say because like a lot of the European comps are great, but the travel afterwards with powerlifters or by myself or whatever has been the highlight of it. But I think I don't want to say Australia, but really Australia has had the actual best comps, you know.
Yeah.
With the Arnold's is just off the chain. It's just insane.
Yeah.
Ludicrous.
Why is
BYO
powerlifting in
earplugs.
Australia so good? Because I've heard this before, and I've witnessed the comps there as well. I think they're brilliant as well. But why? Why do Australians have that level of quality? And in fact, why do Australians love powerlifting so much?
I really
No
don't
one else
know.
seems to.
Hey, like I think it's the organization factor. That said, the last two GPC Worlds were like some of the most organized and smoothly run comps I've ever been to. There were just too many people, too many lifters, so the days were too long. But the actual organization aspect of it, like there's this team of people, there's a company that their only jobs is to spot and load. So they're not even lifters, they're just spotters and loaders that travel to different powerlifting comps.
Oh, wow.
These guys were literally like the fastest spotters and loaders in the West. I've never seen anything like it.
Is this in Australia?
No. This was in, oh, Jesus Christ, where were we? Wherever the last Worlds was, 2019.
Slovakia?
Slovakia, that's it.
Yeah.
In Slovakia. Right. Yeah, it was unreal. But yeah, for the Australian competitions, I really don't know. I think it's the organization, the equipment, and maybe there's just the bias of knowing everyone and being a little bit more immersed in the atmosphere. And like when I go to a pro raw, I'm coaching like 20 people, so I'm just there and present and around everyone and in the limelight, so to speak. Or my lifters are in the limelight, so maybe it just feels different. Because after a while, all powerlifting comps are kind of the same.
I don't know, mate. We've been to come on, mate. We've been to some pretty fucking chockers. Serbia is a great example. I mean, the comp was fun because we were all there, but like actual competition, the actual meat itself was the bread and butter of the meat was. Come on, like, you know.
Yeah. It was the pits.
And then I don't know. I feel like it's definitely a thing. Like Aussie powerlifting meets, they just seem to be that level up. There seems to be some over in Ireland as well. I don't know if you've seen that ABS Pro Series. That looks like absolute legit, like spot on. I think it is
a US Open or the Kern.
What, like Tom was saying, some of them have been hit and miss. Those ones, you know. I think it's when people, because like Thomas was just saying that. For you, it might be the people that are there, but the thing is that those organizations, that they're not relying on the people. The organizations are saying, right, here's our product. It's top quality. It's professional. We run on time. We've got good equipment. We maintain our kit well. We've got good spotter loaders, good refereeing, good table crew, etc., etc. And that brings the people, if you know what I mean. They're not relying on having a fun group of people to actually make the meat good.
Yeah.
Does that make sense, what I'm saying?
For sure. I think that definitely plays a big role. Maybe the business aspect in Australia as well. Like a lot of the times these competitions are run by people whose businesses rely on the reputations of the meat. So there's a bit more pressure or incentive to get it right. Like I ran a nationals in 2016. It was the second time there was ever a masters and juniors and single lift nationals. Fuck, I've never felt so much pressure running in a meet in my life, you know? And it, like mechanically, it wasn't different to any other meet that I've ever risen, but there was certainly a lot riding on it, you know, a lot of expectations. And I think over there and over in certain countries, they just don't care as much. And maybe their businesses aren't inherently chewed into it as much. I'm not 100% sure. Yeah, the Kern that I went to, I've only been to one US Open, and it was 2017. It was okay. It wasn't the one with the bouncy platform thing, but the platform everyone whinged about. One of the bars broke on the platform, like they were prototyping all the Duffin bars, and one of them broke on the platform. There was the same thing. It was just too many people for an invite-only meet. Like it was 2 platforms running non-stop for 2 days or 3 days. It was just like a lot of lifters that probably weren't good enough to be at a big invitational meet like that. It made it cool to have that buzz, to have a lot of people, but you're watching and waiting a lot of lifters that were just kind of like, yeah, you're all right, but do you really deserve to be at this massive invitational hyped up meet? Not to put them down, but you know what I'm saying? Like a meet that requires 2 platforms to run non-stop just has too many people.
Yeah. Yeah.
What do you think of the dual platform setup? I know we've talked about this, Jackson, a few times.
I'm definitely not a fan.
I know you're not a fan,
yeah.
But if got huge numbers, do you just push them all through the one platform or over a week, or do you have a dual platform and do it in 3 days or 2 days?
Yeah, I mean, my question is, what business do you have running a comp that has hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of people? Like, if you're running a comp that's attracting that many people, then it's probably like a world level or massive level comp. In which case, there should be better standards to get those people there. Like, why at the US Open or Wimbledon or whatever aren't they running heaps and heaps and heaps of amateur things at the same time? It's because no one's there to watch those people, right? And I might actually be totally wrong about that. They might actually do that, but I have no fucking idea. But you know what I mean? Like,
no, exactly. Yeah. So if you're going to have a big event like that, why don't you just have the top 50 in the world?
Exactly. You're at the pinnacle. Like, why you want people to watch you? It's at that level. Those athletes. I'm not saying that I'm at those sorts of levels, but we're selfish. You know what I mean? You've put in all this hard work. I damn as hell want people to watch me when I'm squatting or benching or whatever.
Yeah.
I don't want to have some other geezer on the platform and then I'm going to mistake his squat call and get red lighted or whatever, or have half the people watching him.
That's the last thing you want is hearing someone else getting squat and you're seconds away from getting your own. Yeah.
You want people watching you.
I'd say it's probably driven purely by financial reasons. I mean, it costs a ton of money to put these things on.
Yeah, of course.
And that's exactly what it is.
You've only got 60 lifters. You're not going to make as much money as if you had 320 lifters. Yeah.
Yeah, and if you can fit it into 3 days, your costs are less. But
yeah, exactly.
Being selfish as a coach as well, it is annoying to have 2 lifters on 2 different platforms at the same time. And from a team environment as well, it's annoying when you're all on the same team and you get split up like that. It does get a little bit frustrating, but I mean, you just have to roll with the punches, and sometimes I can see where 2 platforms is necessary. But personally, I'm not a big fan of it.
So also, Thomas, you've been to the animal cage.
Yeah.
You bastard. You've made me a bit jealous on that one.
Yep. No, that was cool. That was I think it was 2016. I was coaching Reese Keane at the time, and he went over there to do an AMRAP on an 800-pound deadlift. So that was a cool experience. Pretty wild being in the cage when it was going off, like when Dan Green was doing his bench attempts and Pete Rubish was doing some big deadlifts, and Koklaev showed up as like a surprise guest and did some stuff in there as well. It was cool just being allowed to be in there and being like part of the spectacle, even though I did literally nothing. I just kind of hung out.
Did you feel like a child because they're all disgustingly jacked?
Yeah, big time. I was pretty fresh off my surgeries as well, so I was very small and very soft at the time.
Hadn't been training much. So obviously, like a lot of people, it's a lot of the powerlifting purists will hate me for this, but so there's people that program basically squat, bench, deadlift one day, and then squat, bench, deadlift the next day, and squat, bench, deadlift the next day. That's basically a pure powerlifting program that some people swear by, some people love it. These guys obviously do a lot of accessory work, a lot of bodybuilding work. What's your take on that side of things?
Oh yeah, no, big fan. And so like, as my programming has evolved and changed over the years, there's a lot more emphasis on general hypertrophy. There's a lot more emphasis on moving in all sorts of different directions, which requires a lot of different exercises, which requires a lot of like the smaller exercises. It's really interesting and kind of weird to observe, like that squat, bench, deadlift or very high frequency and very low volume programming kind of stems from like old school Russian programming, like similar to Shaco and all that sort of stuff. And you look at that style in powerlifting, you look at similar styles in weightlifting, like the Bulgarian method and stuff like that. And people neglect to pay attention to the fact that these lifters doing those things in those countries have to go through like a 10-year development phase of just sort of bodybuilding, just sort of lifting weights, just sort of building muscle and building, capacity to be able to handle that hyper-specific stuff. But now it's just like everyone's, favorite lifter on Instagram is always squatting every session or whatever. So I'm going to do it. And so like you see a lot of these sort of novice to intermediate lifters emulating that that make great progress really fast just because they're noobs that either have already hit massive walls and gone backwards or got hurt, or are setting themselves up to do so. It's really interesting to sit back and observe that. My programming is very, very, no, I shouldn't say it's very low frequency, but it's lower frequency than what's the average these days. Like squat and deadlift once a week, maybe twice if you include slight variations of those things like tempo work or whatever, and bench twice a week tops with lots of accessory work.
I remember back in the day, actually, me and Chris were just talking about this the other day, when we first were doing the Lilley method, and we were benching 4 times a week. It was something ludicrous. It was like 50 sets of bench a week. And I mean, we just did it because I was just like, stuff it, let's have a bash. You know, we were in that zone of just push balls to the wall all the time. And I mean, it worked. Like, we benched some decent numbers and stuff. But
sounds like one of those Smolov programs, Smolov Junior or something.
Yeah, it was, and you know, it was wide, and then there was a couple of mixed grip things. But it was something ridiculous. It was like 4 times benching a week. I mean, we just did it. But that's the thing, like you say, it all evolves and stuff. I remember our first email, when you sent me the program, I just sort of took the squat, bench, deadlift numbers. I was just like, oh, yep, I'll just run with that. It's all good. I sent him a list of, I don't know, about 20, 25 questions. Just, hey, I like to do this. Can I put an arm day in? Can I swap this for side delts? Can I do this? Can I do that? Because I was just a bro. I still am, you know. And Thomas was like, honestly, dude, just fuck off. Do you?
I don't know. My philosophy has always been like, do whatever the fuck you want to, provided that it doesn't impede your ability to hit the numbers with the best technique possible.
Yep.
I'm probably a little bit less lenient with that these days because I provide a lot more of the bro stuff. Like I provide a lot more of like side laterals and face pulls and just like general bro stuff. Because I like training like that, but that's not why I'm programming it. But B, because it's important, right? It's really funny when I get like people come to me that are diehard powerlifters, but I've only been diehard powerlifters for like 2 years, and they're like, "What do you mean you're only going to give me two bench days a week? I have to have 4 to improve." I'm like, okay, sit down. Come here.
Let's have a talk about this.
The only reason I'm so confident when I give people programs or give people technique advice is because everything else that you could possibly think of from a programming perspective, I've probably done. And don't mean I've probably done. Yes, I've probably done it, but I've also probably guinea pigged it on like 50, 100 people. You know, I've tested a lot of things out on a lot of people of various experience levels, overall strengths, whatever. And so like I've got this big anecdotal pool of evidence that over the years has evolved to help me have a more efficient method right now. And so like, again, with any coach starting out, you have to be very consistent in your approach. If you're giving lifter 1 percentage-based programming, lifter 2 top sets based on RPE, lifter 3 is just RPE volume, it's like, how can you know what your programming is doing across the board? You might know how it works for them, but if lifter A gets better results than lifter B, was it the lifter or was it the programming? Like, how are you ever going to gather data and gather results? So coming back to that, like, what's the best thing for a coach starting out? It's fucking be consistent. Like, use a consistent methodology. Otherwise, you're going to never know what works and what doesn't. You'll literally be making it up as you go along.
Yeah, 100%. Actually, on that as well, just going back to that the technical thing as well, the for a starting out coach, would you argue that then they need to understand why they say things? You know, like obviously, so they'll hear someone say, all right, squeeze your lats into your belt or whatever, and then push your knees out when you're squatting. But so if someone's online coaching, say, and they say that to their lifter, do they obviously need to understand why they're saying that? Because if I then ask, oh, why am I doing that? It goes back to that thing what we were saying before about how you need to understand. If you actually understand something, you should be able to explain it to someone, if that makes sense, not just say it.
Thomas, you got some thoughts around this knees out palaver as well, eh? I think I've heard you on your podcast. It's almost like one of those old school myths that's been debunked now.
Oh, knees out is horrendous.
Knees out, yeah.
Yeah. It comes back to what we were saying just before in terms of, I 100% agree, Jackson. Like, as a coach, you do need to understand what you're trying to achieve. And again, not from a visual perspective. Like, knees out is a classic visual coach. It's like, okay, knees are going in. What's the opposite of that? Push your knees out. This is the axe in the face all over again, right? It's like what causes the knees to go in that position you want. And the bitter irony of the whole knees out thing is that a lifter who biases towards their knees going out too much is probably going to lead to way more in terms of injury, in terms of pain, than knees caving in. Knees caving is pretty harmless for most people in terms of the health of their knees. It might tell a bigger story in terms of back or in terms of hips, but knees going out is a recipe for disaster for most lifters. And so like the hard thing with cueing, and again, without having done this 2,000 times on people, how the fuck are you going to learn where cues can go wrong? The hard thing with cueing is that cueing is really hard to apply scale to. And so what I mean by that is like people think more of that thing is better, therefore most of that thing is best. So knees out, okay, if I push my knees out harder, my squat will be better. So this is a bad thing, right? If your knees are caving in, you start trying to push them out, you end up in a really good spot. Fantastic. Yep. But you think, okay, no, I gotta keep going.
Out.
Then you end up squatting like a frog. Again, that can lead to more harm than good if you're not careful. So understanding, okay, where is this knees out look coming from? What it really is like this rotational relationship at the hip. It's a concept called torque, which is like equal and opposite rotational force, right? So we want internal and external rotation happening together, and we just want to bias. Your knees just go forward and back. They don't go in or out. If they're going in or out, it's something to do with your hip. So let's stop talking about knees. Let's start talking about the hip.
Yep, exactly. Yeah, the same with the so we did bring it up in the chat before this, but so the bar path and the bench press and the elbow path. So it's same thing. The elbows are basically your knee on your arm. If you want the elbows, people always say, "Oh, tuck your elbows in," but what's the, you want your elbows, you've got to change what happens at your shoulder. Mm-hmm. Same.
So I'm guilty of. I heard tuck your elbows in for years and years and years and years. And then the other day, someone said to me that one of your lifters, ex-lifters, Thomas said to me, Thomas said to flare your elbows, and that was the first time I've ever heard that. And I thought, fuck me, I've just heard 6 years of tuck your elbows, and it's wrong. Yeah, I was.
Who said that?
I'll tell you after the podcast.
Okay.
Don't drop them in hot water.
No, well, it's a listener, and I know she'll listen. This person will listen. So yeah, and I thought that's interesting because I didn't know that, because I always thought it's a bodybuilding. That's a bodybuilding bench press, surely. But that's the advice they were given.
Yeah, so I know who you're talking about now. It's a directional cue, right? So like I wouldn't say the word flare. I wouldn't say flare your elbows, because that's as guilty as saying tuck your elbows, right? What I teach
changing the elbow.
What I teach is do this with your shoulders. So once they can nail doing that with their shoulders, if they're still biasing a particular direction because over years they've been taught to do that, or they've developed an imbalance in that direction, then I'll guide the elbows to go somewhere else. So it's like we want our shoulders back and down, right? Tucking the elbows is doing this. You don't want to do this when you bench. That's silly. We don't want to do that. But what people are saying tuck your elbows for is because if you end up like that, it's nasty, right? It's bad on your shoulders. It makes you weak off the chest, blah, blah, blah. And so they're saying tuck your elbows to get into this position. They're trying to talk about where your elbows are in space, just like Jackson said, it's like the knee of your upper body, right? And so the whole like flare your elbows thing that's been passed on here is not flare your elbows. It's keep your shoulders on and let your elbows just go where they need to go. They'll go on the right path once we fix the cueing and the biomechanics and the imbalances that lie underneath that. They should just go straight up and down. And you'll notice if you stop tucking your elbows super hard and you just crank your shoulders on and leave them there, you'll feel like you can push the bar. It won't feel like a goofy, weird movement because you're staying under the bar. You're creating this line of force that actually works now.
What are some other cues that you've heard over the years that have been debunked? Some of these myths.
Back.
Take
it.
I'm actually, I'm not very active on social media anymore at all. Like in terms of making posts, I just make satire posts because I get fucked off with everything I see on Instagram. But one thing that's annoying me quite a lot, especially since I've been doing this coach development thing, is how wacky some of the direction, like some of the cues actually are. So I'm going to start doing this thing called like my war on cues or my war on shit cueing, because Most cues that we hear are actually pretty terrible. Exactly because of what Jackson was saying, is because people don't understand what they're actually telling someone to do. And so like if you're a lifter or a coach listening to this, the best way to test a cue is to be able to remove your bias. And that's really hard to do. So like, for example, a terrible cue is pull the bar apart on bench.
Oh, God.
Right? So pull the bar apart.
I've heard that a million times.
Stop it. Yeah, but what does it mean?
I don't know. I always thought, really? It's made in the middle.
try and think about what it's trying to achieve, right? It's trying to get you to feel scap retraction. It's trying to get you to squeeze between your upper back, right? You guys know how to bench. So if I say pull the bar on you apart on the bench so you can feel your upper back more, you're going to feel your upper back more because I want you to feel your upper back more.
Yeah,
your brain will just go there.
Apart. Yeah,
exactly. So
100%.
If you're applying a cue or trying to think of how you can apply a cue to a client, don't think of how you can get it right. Think about how you can fuck it up. It's like, think about what are you actually telling them? Do you want to do this when you bench? No, you want to do this. Why are you telling someone to do that? Yeah. It's like, because I want them to get their shoulders tight. So talk about their fucking shoulders. Like, it's not rocket science.
Yeah, I love that. And the knees out one is a classic one, because people like, I hear people tell like their mates or whatever, and I'm like, oh, you want his knees to go? Well, get him to fucking squat on the side of his foot then. Like, his knees are going to be well out then. You know, but that's not what you're trying to achieve. What you're trying to achieve is what happens at his hip. Same as Thomas is saying about the shoulders. You know, when people say break the bar apart, you know, well, I can break the bar apart just by rotating my wrist. That's not going to change what happens at my elbow or shoulder at all. Yeah. So you need to start thinking closer to the root cause, not the distal end, almost.
For sure. Yeah, I think one of the funniest cues to watch is like anything to do with staying upright on a squat, because the more upright you try and stay, the more you'll fall over forward.
Yeah.
If normally if you try and bias one direction really hard, because you can't create tension in the other direction, like you have to relax the other direction, you'll fall into that direction. So like if we're talking about, say, in that example, right? If you're arching your back as hard as you can, now you're creating no tension at the front. So when eventually you fall into that direction, there's no support to stop you falling all the way. There's nothing to stop you rounding completely over. So like staying upright is the ultimate irony. It's like, I want to feel more upright. I'll keep my chest up. To do that, I have to arch my back as hard as I can. When I hit the hole, I'm going to fall completely forward, get into this like stripper squat and feel less upright. And so it create circular reasoning. They're like, I always feel like I'm falling over my squat. I just need to stay more upright. Yeah. They just go around in this big circle. It's a very, very interesting one.
How would you cue for a squat?
Jesus, Greg, how long have you got?
Oh,
yeah.
You're talking to literally the two of us. I think because I find that I really responded well to Thomas's coaching, because I think we both think very similarly, like very critically of things. So if you sent us both down this rabbit hole, you've seen me go on it, and then you add Thomas to the mix. That's
okay.
Let
me get very specific around depth. Can you cue for depth?
You can say go lower, but it's probably a pretty.
All I hear is
idea.
down. Does that actually work? No one's ever tried it on me. I don't know if it works or not. I would find it fucking distracting and horrible to listen to.
No.
Be going as slow as possible for waiting for that up.
It's dumb. For raw lifting, it's dumb. For equip lifting, it makes sense because you don't know where the fuck you are.
It takes about half an hour to go down anyway.
Exactly. No, but so like when I was coaching Jackson, my approach was a very rudimentary version of what I do now. And now it's very packaged because it has to be, because I sell the system, right? And so my system is built on what I call rules, and each lift has 3 rules. And when I say rules, what I mean is like biomechanical principles that everyone has to adhere to, right? Rule number 1 is always, where do we get the power from? Rule number 2 is always breathing and bracing. And rule number 3 is the opposite end of the spectrum that supports the transfer of power. So in squat and deadlift, it's the upper back. In bench press, it's the legs, right? And so how I would cue for a squat, I'm cueing the 3 rules. Rule number 1, where does power come from? Muscles of the legs and hips. The cues around that is going to be twist your quads away from each other, hold that all the way down, all the way up. That's it. That sounds too simple. That's literally the cue I use for every single person. When I teach someone in person, I'll use a script that I say the same thing there's a lot of nuance, there's a lot of thought, there's a lot of like deep analysis put into it, but it appears very simple, right? The trick is, if they can't stand in the right position, if they don't have the prerequisite stability or control, it's going to look like garbage. And so like the hard thing when we talk about cues is people listening to this expect there to be a magic cue that immediately fixes whatever problem they have. It's just not how lifting works. If lifting worked like that, no one would lift like shit. If we could all just twist our quads away from each other, then no one would have a shit squat. Lots of people have shit squats. So it's got to be more complicated than that, right? So that would be my cue for rule number 1. Rule number 2, breathing and bracing. I go through a drill to teach people how to do this. So if you're listening to this or watching it at home, it's as simple as this. Take a big breath in, push it out as hard and fast as you can. So you can go, right? Do that again. On the second time, just keep going. So just keep pushing out. So go, keep going all on one breath. If you do that, you'll feel everything in your stomach like cramp up and tighten up. That is your brace. The difference is, as you know, when you lift weights, you don't push the air out. So do that again. Take a big breath in, try and push it out. Keep trying to push it out. Don't let any air out. So that's your brace. Keep doing that. Hold that the whole time. So I'll go through a drill. If anything's a complex subsystem, I'll go through a drill to teach that person and then just say to that person, just do the thing. Rule number 3. Rule number 3 is actually really complicated, like what's happening with your upper back. There's 6 major components that are involved in it. The best way to relate something that is complicated, but at the same time kind of simple, is to relate it to something similar that someone will understand. So what do we want? We want retraction, depression, thoracic extension, and certain elements of rotation in your shoulder. If you squeeze the bar tight and then go under the bar like you're doing a lat pull down, those 2 things will put everything together. Again, it's going to take, does this person have the flexibility requirements, the stability requirements? If they don't, it's going to look like dog shit. But that's it. That's all the cueing there is. Grip the bar tight, pull into your back like a lat pull down, big breath and brace, twist your quads away from each other, hold that all the way down, all the way up.
Easy.
How
hard could it be?
The art is like understanding, of course, how do we get this person in a position where they can do that? If they can't physically do it, how do we build that into a system where we can get them to do that thing?
Yeah.
So that's what I meant right at the start when I said it's complicated, but it's simple.
Yeah, 100%. So then, Thomas, if you had, say, someone who then said to you, well, fuck, what does rotating my quads away from each other mean? Do you then just cue it a slightly different way? Or
everyone likes to throw that curveball out there. I've never physically had someone that's like, I don't know what that means. Because
I mean, everyone could effectively do that.
Yeah, I've picked cues specifically that I know that people can do. Of course, I have to acknowledge my bias as well, that I don't work with a great deal of beginners. I certainly do have some beginners, which I might simplify the language for, but most people know their body to some degree. That said, demonstration comes into it a bit. So if they're online, there's a video to teach them how to do that. If they're in person, I'm showing them in front of them as well. So that helps, but it hasn't been a problem that I've faced.
Yeah.
Nice.
No, literally. I mean, I can picture that now. Planting your feet quite firmly on the ground and then twisting your quads, out. It seems kind of straightforward. I don't think too many people are going to get too confused with that one.
Oh, there you go, Greg. All right, we'll wait to see your progress.
Yeah, just wait.
You'll squat more than what was it? Are you up to 180 yet, or?
We're going to keep going on about this.
It's never going to go, bro.
That was a one-off, really badly executed 170, and it was a nightmare. But it'll be 220 by next week by this.
With that free coaching bomb from Thomas.
Yeah, exactly.
Good. I've got a new program. You can run it for free. It's called 3-2-1.
Is that
it's back to the simple. Yeah, back to the basics.
Nice. Now, Thomas, you got a podcast, eh? So I want to just do a plug for the podcast, because obviously that's where I listen to you and John. It's almost weekly. Yeah, I feel like it's weekly, but it might be weekly. You guys have a brilliant podcast, called Peak Speak.
Yep.
Geez, you're up to episode 100 and something now, eh?
Yeah, 104 or 5 or something like that. It's just a bit of fun.
You enjoying it?
Nice.
Yeah. No, it's a good bit of fun. I'm about to do a zero podcast as well. That's just rather than being like an hour and a half long conversation like me and John have, or like we're having now. It'll just be like sort of 10-minute tidbits of information, like those 3 rules on the squat that I just talked through, just like really quick little things to help lifters and coaches. So I'll start.
That's quite a popular format now. I've heard that actually mentioned for podcasting and trends, in terms of they keep the length, 10, 20 minutes. And,
it's just people's attention span, I guess, as we consume information, just keeps getting shorter and shorter and shorter.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, and the thing is with podcasts, like a lot of people, they listen to these on the drive to work or the commute home or whatever. So for quite often, I mean, for us here in Christchurch, 10 minutes is That's if the traffic's backed up. But
that's right.
Yeah, here in Auckland, you could it's one way to work is an hour and a half. So yeah, works perfect for this podcast.
Yeah.
Awesome. And what's the plan with the gym? You've got another one opening in Mackay.
That's right.
2021. And you got the 2 that you're operating now. How do you find the time?
Oh man, I've got good people. I've got good managers and co-owners at. So the Gold Coast gym is my gym, and I've got a good manager there. I've got a couple of coaches that help me online as well, as in like they have their own online clients through Xero. And the guy that manages the Brisbane gym, Daniel Carpenter, he's the co-owner there, so he's excellent. And the guy in Makai is working for me now for Xero and a co-owner, and he'll be the manager up there as well. So it's just the right people. And people keep asking me, okay, well, are you going to open one here or here? I never wanted to open a second one, let alone a third one. It's just been the right people at the right time and the right circumstances have led to it happening. So, because for me, it's about the person. Like Jackson, you know what it's like going to Body Core or back in the day at Eastside. It wasn't the equipment that made the gym; it was the people.
Oh, no.
You know, if you didn't have Craig at the helm, if it was just some random, it wouldn't be the same.
But definitely know what you're talking about with that. Like that's what makes gyms explode. It's the people. It's and then but the people having to put together the right product as well, which I think that you being at the forefront of it yourself, you've sort of put together like you say, a good system and a good product to then actually be like, okay, well, actually, you could help me sell this, or you could help me run this, and then delegating effectively, being an effective leader, not just saying, just do it, do whatever. You know what I mean? You've actually said, right, this is what's happening, this is where we're going.
For sure. Like the product is the fucking easy part. It's like who's the right person to uphold the reputation of the product and be able to deliver the product in the right way and not try and be a fucking